Dear guests, today's event will start in 1 minute and we will be live on AFC website. Please turn your mobile phones on silent mode. And more importantly, kindly stay seated throughout the event. A very good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to AFC House in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, the home of Asian football. My name is Deborah Pereira, and I will be your MC today. Soon we will witness the AFC Under-16 Championship 2018 qualifiers draw, and before we begin, I would like to welcome representatives from participating member associations, distinguished guests, AFC administration, and members of the media. We will have a total of 45 teams participating in the qualifiers to be played in September. Before we proceed in separating teams into different groups for the qualifiers, let's have a quick look at some highlights from the previous competition. Wow, what a thrilling competition played in India last year. During the draw, the teams will be divided into 10 groups. The group winners and 5 best second-place teams among all the groups will advance to the finals, which will be played in September next year. In order to have a full explanation on how it all works, let's have a look at this video on the qualification process.
The following member associations will participate in the AFC Under-16 Championship 2018 qualifiers. The competition will consist of a qualifying and a final stage. Based on the total number of teams in entry, the following member associations shall participate in the qualifiers competition, divided into 2 zones of West and East. Competition format. The competition will consist of qualifying and final stages as follows. Seeding for AFC Under-16 Championship 2018 qualifiers draw. According to the decision by the AFC Competitions Committee, seeding for the draw shall be based on the rankings of AFC Under-16 Championship India 2016. New entry, Bhutan, Brunei Darussalam, Indonesia, Sri Lanka. Zoning of participating teams and mode of competition. West Zone by seeding. East Zone by seeding. Based on the total number of teams from the West Zone, There are 2 groups of 4 teams and 3 groups of 5 teams in the West Zone, total 5 groups. Based on the total number of teams from the East Zone, there shall be 3 groups of 4 teams and 2 groups of 5 teams in the East Zone, total 5 groups. 10 group winners and 5 best second-placed teams among all groups shall qualify to the final competition, total 15 teams. Host of the final competition shall receive an automatic qualification to the final round of the competition. In case the host of final competition finishes top of their group in the qualifiers or finishes among the 5 best second-place teams in overall ranking, the next 6th second-place team in the ranking among all groups will also qualify to the final competition. The member associations that have expressed their interest to host the qualifiers will be drawn into separate groups. Groupings and match dates. The following match sequence applies for groups with 4 teams. The number designates the position drawn in each group. The following match sequence applies for groups with 5 teams. The number designates the position drawn in each group. The AFC Under-16 Championship 2018 qualifiers shall be played according to AFC Calendar of Competitions 2017 from the 16th to the 24th of September 2017. The groups with 4 teams that require 3 match days will have the following match days: 20th, 22nd and 24th September 2017. The groups with 5 teams that require 5 match days will have the following match days: 16th, 18th, 20th, 22nd and 24th September 2017. All matches shall conclude on the same day of 24th September 2017, regardless the number of teams in the group, in order to apply fair play in calculation of the best second-place teams among all 10 groups.
Now that we are all clear on the qualification process, I would like to invite on stage the head of AFC National Team Competitions, Mr. Arasbek Bedikalov.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Deborah. Good afternoon to all of you, and I'm really delighted to see all of you in Malaysia in AFC House in Kuala Lumpur when we are about to kick off the new season of AFC Youth Championships, which will start with the draw of AFC Under-16 Championship in a minute. I'm sure all of us excited to find out the draw results, and we are really looking forward to know who will play in which group. But in order to understand the procedure of doing draw, as explained in the video we showed in a minute ago, let's have a look how procedure works for West Zone, starting with explanation of West Zone draw.
Draw mechanisms, West Zone. There will be 5 seeding pots according to the rankings. The draw will separate 23 teams into 5 groups. The draw will commence in the following sequence: Pot 5, Pot 4, Pot 3, Pot 2, Pot 1. Pot 5, 3 teams seeded 21st to 23rd. First team to be drawn will be positioned as A5. Second team to be drawn will be positioned as B5. Third team to be drawn will be positioned as C5. Pot 4, 5 teams seeded 16th to 20th. First to 5th ball drawn will be positioned as A4, B4, C4, D4, E4 accordingly. Pot 3, 5 teams seeded 11th to 15th. First to 5th ball drawn will be positioned as A3, B3, C3, D3, E3 accordingly. In order to apply separation of hosts into different groups, hosts of qualifiers from this pot, Qatar, shall not be drawn into the same groups as the other hosts of qualifiers drawn earlier, Nepal. If a host of qualifiers, Qatar, is drawn into the same group as Nepal, the host of qualifiers, Qatar, will be moved to the next group with no host, and the following drawn team shall take position in the group which the host of qualifiers, Qatar, was originally drawn to. Unless a host of qualifiers, Qatar, is drawn earlier, the last remaining group with no host shall be reserved for the host of qualifiers, Qatar, and any team drawn to the last remaining group with no host shall be moved to the next group. Pot 2, 5 teams seeded 6th to 10th. First to fifth ball drawn will be positioned as A2, B2, C2, D2, E2. In order to apply separation of hosts into different groups, hosts of qualifiers from this pot, Saudi Arabia or Tajikistan, shall not be drawn into the same groups as the other hosts of qualifiers drawn earlier, Qatar or Nepal. Pot 1, 5 teams seeded 1st to 5th. First to fifth ball drawn will be positioned as A1, B1, C1, D1, E1 accordingly. In order to apply separation of hosts into different groups, hosts of qualifiers from this pot, Islamic Republic of Iran, shall not be drawn into the same groups as the other hosts of qualifiers drawn earlier, Saudi Arabia, Tajikistan, Qatar or Nepal. That will conclude the draw, West Zone.
Okay, we have the pots in front of you. We will go the same procedure as explained in the video, and we know how it works. So let's find out who plays who and most importantly where. We'll start with pot 5, and in pot 5 we have 3 teams as explained in the draw: Maldives, Bhutan and Sri Lanka. The first team drawn will go to group A, position 5, followed by next team going to group B, position 5, and the last team from this pot will occupy position 5 in group C. The first team of the day we have here is Sri Lanka. New entry, they were never in the final competition and they will be trying for the first qualification in this edition. Next team will go to group B, position 5. The team we have is Maldives. Another team never in the final competition. They will be trying for first qualification in this edition later this September. The last team from this spot should be Bhutan, and let's have a confirmation. Bhutan, new entry, another team not in the final competition yet. Bhutan going to group C, position 5. We move on to pot 4 now, and in pot 4 we have 5 teams: Bangladesh, Bahrain, Nepal, which will be host of the qualifiers group they are drawn to, Lebanon and Turkmenistan. Similar to other pot, they will go to group A, group B, group C, group D and group E in the order they are drawn, and they will occupy the same number as their pot number represented. The first team going to group A, position 4. We have Bahrain. They were last time in the final in 2008, and they will be trying to come back to the competition 10 years later. Next team going to group B, joining Maldives in position 4. We have Turkmenistan. They were also last time in the final in 2008. That was the only time they qualified to the final competition. Now joining Bhutan in group C in position 4. We have Lebanon. They never played in the final competition. This will be the first time they will qualify to the final competition in case they make it this September. We continue with the same arrangement. Next team drawn will go to group D, and the last team will go to group E. The team going to group D, position 4, Nepal. last time in competition in 2014, and they will be host of the qualifiers in this competition. Group D, Nepal. Confirmation that we have Bangladesh last team from pot 4. Bangladesh last time in final in 2006, going to Group E, position 4. We continue to progress with the draw. We reach almost halfway of the West Zone draw, and we have 5 teams here: Syria, Jordan, Afghanistan, Qatar, host of the qualifiers, and Palestine. Small reminder, Qatar cannot be drawn into Group D together with Nepal in order to apply separation of the hosts in this competition. The first team going to Group A, position 3, joining Bahrain and Sri Lanka, we have Jordan. Quarterfinalists in 2010, going to Group A, position 3. The next team will go to Group B, position 3. We have Syria. Syria will join Turkmenistan and Maldives. They will take position 3, quarterfinalists in 2014. Going to Group C, position 3. Next team we have here is Afghanistan. Never played in the final competition. This will be the first time if they make it through in the group together with Lebanon and Bhutan. We have now Qatar and Palestine left in this spot. In case I draw Qatar, Qatar will be moved to Group E in order to apply separation of hosts as explained in the draw mechanism. Palestine. Another team never played in the final competition, and they will be trying first time qualification when they visit Nepal later this September. And confirmation that we have Qatar as last team from this spot. Qatar, host of the qualifiers, this September. Group E will be traveling to Doha, Qatar. Okay, groups are forming up slowly, and we have now pot 2 representing teams ranked 6 to 10. We have Kyrgyz Republic, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, India, and Tajikistan. Same principle we explained on host separation. Saudi Arabia and Tajikistan cannot be drawn to groups D and E accordingly. So I have to reserve last 2 groups for these 2 host countries in case required. First team drawn going to Group A, occupying position 2 is Saudi Arabia. They are host of the group, 2 times champion, and the matches will be played in Saudi Arabia for Group A. Next team drawn going to Group B. We have Tajikistan, another host of the qualifiers. They will be hosting Group B in Dushanbe. They were last time in final in 2010. Tajikistan. The rest should be quite easy, straightforward. First team drawn now go to Group C, position 2. We have Kyrgyz Republic. They will look for second consecutive qualification. They were in the final competition last year in India. Kyrgyz Republic, Group C. 2 teams left. First one drawn traveling to Nepal in Group D, and the final team traveling to Qatar in Group E. India, host of the Previous Championship and host of the upcoming Under-17 FIFA Under-17 World Cup in India. They will be going to Nepal in Group D this September. India. And confirmation for last team from this spot, This should be Yemen. And here we have Yemen, runner-up in 2002. They are looking for second consecutive qualification as they played in the final competition last edition. Yemen, Group E, position 2. And now we have top 5 teams from West Zone. We have Iraq, Iran, Oman, and we have United Arab Emirates and Uzbekistan. They will be split into 5 groups accordingly. And as I explained, Iran cannot be drawn to Group A, B, D, or E. So only group reserved for Iran will be Group C, regardless of how draw develops. So the first team drawn going to Group A, we have Uzbekistan. Winner of competition in 2012, they are looking for their 6th consecutive qualification to the final competition. Uzbekistan. Next team going to Group B, position 1, we have Oman. They qualified to final competition 3 times in a row, and they will look for 4th qualification in this September in Tajikistan. Group B, Oman. Now we have the only group without host, which should be reserved to Iran. So in case Iran is not drawn, team will be moved to Group D to reserve top position for Iran in Group C. Iraq, defending champion, they will be going to Group D, traveling to Nepal in order to apply host separation. Iraq, Group D. Next team going either to Group C or E, we have United Arab Emirates. They are looking for 2nd consecutive qualification after participating in final competition last year. They will be going to Group E, UAE, traveling to Qatar. And as per our draw mechanism on host separation, this should be Iran, and they will go to Group C. Islamic Republic of Iran, host of the qualifiers, runner-up, they lost it to Iraq in the final competition in last edition. Iran, Group C, position 1. This concludes the draw for West Zone. Let's have a look how it works for East Zone, and I want you to pay attention to the video that will be played in front of you.
Draw mechanisms, East Zone. There will be 5 seeding pots according to the rankings. The draw will separate 22 teams into 5 groups. Draw will commence in the following sequence: Pot 5, Pot 4, Pot 3, Pot 2, Pot 1. Pot 5, 2 teams seeded 20th and 21st. First team to be drawn will be positioned as F5. Second team to be drawn will be positioned as G5. Pot 4, 5 teams seeded 16th to 19th. First to 5th ball drawn will be positioned as F4, G4, H4, I4 and J4 accordingly. Pot 3, 5 teams seeded 11th to 15th. First to 5th ball drawn will be positioned as F3, G3, H3, I3 and J3 accordingly. Pot 2, 5 teams seeded 6th to 10th. First to 5th ball drawn will be positioned as F2, G2, H2, I2 and J2 accordingly. Pot 1, 5 teams seeded 1st to 5th. First to 5th ball drawn will be positioned as F1, G1, H1, I1 and J1 accordingly. In order to apply separation of hosts into different groups, hosts of qualifiers from this pot, Thailand, shall not be drawn into the same groups as the other hosts of qualifiers drawn earlier, Mongolia. That will conclude the draw for the AFC Under-16 Championship 2018 qualifiers.
Now we will continue with East Zone, and we already saw the explanation how this procedure works. So let me follow the same procedure. We'll start with pot 5, and we move on to pot 4, pot 3, pot 2, and conclude with pot 1 at the end of our draw. In pot 5, we have two teams, Brunei Darussalam and Indonesia, and they will be drawn into position 5 in groups F and G. So the first team from East Zone, pot 5, we have Brunei Darussalam. New entry in this competition, never played in the final competition yet. Brunei going to group F, position 5. And here is a confirmation that we have Indonesia as other team in this pot. Indonesia, they missed last 3 editions of the competition. They were 4th in 1990 championship. They are back after FIFA suspension to our competition. Group G, position 5. Moving on, in pot 4 we have another 5 teams, Cambodia, Philippines, Macau, Guam, and Northern Mariana Islands. They will be split into 5 groups, taking position 4 in each group. The first team joining Brunei Darussalam in group F, we have Macau, never in the final competition. Group F, position 4, Macau. Continuing with the draw, joining Indonesia in group G, we have one of the 4 teams displayed in front of you, Northern Mariana Islands. Never in the final competition, but active participant of all youth championships. Group G, position 4, Northern Mariana Islands. Next team going to group H, position 4, we have Philippines, another team never in the final competition, going to group H, position 4. 2 more teams left, going to group I, position 4, Cambodia. Group I, position 4. The last team should be Guam, and here is the confirmation. We have Guam, another team yet to qualify to the final competition, going position 4 in group J. Okay, now turn for pot 3, and we have 5 teams ranked 11 to 16, Timor-Leste, Myanmar, Chinese Taipei, Singapore, and Mongolia, who, by the way, will be host of the group they are drawn to. The first team going to group F, position 3, joining Macau and Brunei Darussalam, we have Chinese Taipei. Another team yet to qualify to final competition, going to group F, position 3. Group G, position 3, we have Timor-Leste. They played in the final competition in 2008 in Uzbekistan. And this will be the second time in case they make it through the qualifying stage. Group H, joining Philippines, we have Myanmar. Last time in the final in 2006, Group H, position 3. Now we have Singapore or Mongolia. Group I, Mongolia, host of the qualifiers. Match will be played in capital Ulaanbaatar. Mongolia, position 3 in Group I. And confirmation of last team being Singapore. Here we have Singapore. Last time in final in 2008, and they hosted the championship in 2006. Singapore, Group J, position 3. Okay. Pot 2 have rather strong teams. ranked 6 to 10, we have Malaysia here, we have Australia, China PR, we have Hong Kong, and we have Laos. So they will be split into 5 groups in positions 2 accordingly. Going to Group F, position 2, we have Hong Kong, looking to qualification for 2nd time in a row. First time was in 2014 in Thailand. Hong Kong, position 2 in Group F. Going to Group G, Laos, they missed last 2 editions of the competition. Last time they were in the final in 2012, so they look forward to come back from this Group G, position 2, Laos. Okay, we have 3 teams left. Myanmar, Philippines in Group H. Joining these 2 teams, we have China PR, 2 times champion, but they didn't qualify to the last edition. They will be going to Group H, joining Myanmar and Philippines. China PR. Malaysia and Australia left. So this team going to Group I, traveling to Mongolia for group stage matches. We have Australia looking for 6 consecutive qualification. Australia drawn to Group I, position 2. The last team from this spot should be Malaysia. And here we have confirmation. Malaysia looking for 3rd qualification, and they are, by the way, bidding to host the final competition. Malaysia, Group J, position 2. Final pot, which will conclude our draw, and we will find out who will be the top positions of each group. First team drawn, going to Group F. DPR Korea, 2 times champions, semi-final last edition. They are going to Group F, position 1, DPR Korea. Going to Group G, position 1, we have Thailand, champion in 1998, looking for 4th consecutive qualification and hosting the qualifiers group for G, Thailand. We have 3 teams left. Next will be Group H, joining China, Myanmar, and Philippines. Korea Republic, 2 times champion, going to Group H, position 1, Korea Republic. The next team traveling to Mongolia in Group I, we have Vietnam, quarter-finalists in last edition, looking for 2nd consecutive qualification, traveling to Mongolia, Group I, Vietnam. The last team of the day, we have Japan, and here is the confirmation. Japan, 2 times champion, semi-finalists last edition, going to Group J, position 1, Japan. This concludes the draw for today, and I would like to thank you for your attention and wish all the teams good luck. Deborah?
Thank you, Avazbek. Well, I can see some exciting faces in the audience, and I'm sure you cannot wait for the matches to begin on 16 September. Let's recap the draw results, as you can see on screen. For West Zone, Group A, Uzbekistan, Saudi Arabia, host of group, Jordan, Bahrain and Sri Lanka. Group B, Oman, Tajikistan, host of group, Syria, Turkmenistan, and Maldives. Group C, Islamic Republic of Iran, host of group. Kyrgyz Republic, Afghanistan, Lebanon, and Bhutan. Group D, Iraq, India, Palestine, and Nepal, host of group. Group E, United Arab Emirates, Yemen, Qatar, host of group, and Bangladesh. For East Zone, Group F, DPR Korea, Hong Kong, Chinese Taipei, Macau, and Brunei Darussalam. Group G, Thailand, host of group, Laos, Timor-Leste, Northern Mariana Islands, and Indonesia. Group H, Korea Republic, China PR, Myanmar, and Philippines. Group I, Vietnam, Australia, Mongolia, host of group, and Cambodia. And lastly, Group J, Japan, Malaysia, Singapore, and Guam. We will see the group winners and 5 best runner-up among all groups together with the host member associations in the final tournament. I wish the coaches and their teams the very best of luck. The match schedule will be distributed to you shortly. There will be an official draw of the AFC Under-19 Championship 2018 qualifiers at 4 p.m. today. Thank you for your attendance to this qualifiers draw ceremony, and we wish all the participating member associations a great success. Thank you.